Wallace. Wallace finds top shelf back corner. Carlow is going to take the 4-1.
Welcome into the season preview for the Celtics men's volleyball season here on the Carlow Sports Network. I'm Sean Meyers, joined by Val Pennington. Val, thank you for doing this, and this is very exciting because, as a lot of people probably know, it is the first ever season for this program.
Yeah.
So what's the anticipation and excitement level to finally begin this season?
Well, Western Pennsylvania is really a traditional hotbed of boys volleyball nationally. Years and decades ago, boys volleyball was really hot on the West Coast, as one would expect. And California, when you think of volleyball, you think of the West Coast. But also, the Rust Belt was a very big hotbed. Western New York, all of Pennsylvania. So Western New York, Pennsylvania, and Southern California were the big volleyball areas. And then as collegiate men's volleyball grew throughout the 70s and 80s, a lot of the players that played in all those collegiate programs nationwide came from this Rust Belt area. And then sort of in the late 80s to 90s to the new millennium, collegiate volleyball kind of dried up a little bit. Unfortunately, it's kind of a Title IX casualty as the gender equity came in. Instead of universities and colleges adding women's sports to level the playing field, a lot of them subtracted men's sports. And as a non-revenue generating sport, men's volleyball was one of the first things on the chopping block. So dozens and dozens and dozens of men's programs just started dropping out of sight in the early 80s. But the feeder for those programs, the high school programs and the club programs, still existed, and they actually grew. So you have this huge base of players here that had nowhere to go. There was no next level for them. So there's a lot of excitement for a men's collegiate team in this area, because the last men's collegiate team varsity in the actual city limits was the old University of Pittsburgh team, which went belly up, I believe in about 83 was the last varsity team. So I think it's great. I think there's been a lot of excitement. I'm really plugged into the local volleyball community. I know a lot of the local high school and club coaches. They're very excited to have a program back here, and I hope that we can be a good standard bearer for that.
And certainly you know a lot about the history of the sport of volleyball. You have a coaching background that's pretty extensive.
Mm-hmm.
So discuss that, and also highlight how those experiences helped you get this position.
Sure. I've coached on a lot of different levels. I've coached high school. I've coached, travel, junior Olympic club ball. I have coached not varsity collegiate, but I've coached collegiate club. I coached the men's club team over at University of Pittsburgh for a couple of years, which kind of gave me a taste of that. And the actual collegiate club men's scene is very competitive. It's actually, I had a couple of teams at Pitt that would do a whole lot of damage on the varsity level. So in terms of that experience, I've seen the game from a lot of different angles. I've coached both boys, girls, men, women, and so this is just the sort of the one box that's kind of left to check. So I'm excited to be here to be able to do that.
And continuing that discussion, what was attractive specifically about Carlow University to you?
Well, it's I'm a Pittsburgh guy, and I've sort of like a lot of Pittsburgh people in the volleyball community have sort of mourned the lack of opportunities for local male volleyball players on the next level. So when I saw that Carlow was beginning their program, I mean, that was just kind of eyes lit up, even before I thought that I would be a part of it. Just knowing that they were launching the program itself was very exciting for me, as it is for a lot of people.
You were hired last April. What were your areas of focus since that time?
Well, I was hired in April of 2020, and with the expectation that we were going to be in competition in spring of 2021. So starting a new program from scratch was kind of a daunting task. So the first order of business is get some players. So recruiting has really been the primary focus. Now, even without the sort of the global pandemic situation that we're in, that would be a daunting task. And when you factor that in, that really takes it to a level that one wouldn't expect.
What do you think the strengths will be for your team this season?
I think scrap and hard work. We've got a nice group of guys that give me everything that they have on a daily basis, and so we're going to try to supply that thing that you can't teach, and that's desire and hustle. You can be born with height, you can be born with talent, you can develop speed and quickness and agility, but work ethic is a state of mind, and we're dedicated to and committed to just being the hardest working team on the floor at all times.
You have a small roster, so you're going to need everyone to contribute, but who are some of the key players you'll lean upon?
The key players that we're looking to lean on, I'll call them the big three. Russ Cyprowski is going to be one of our offensive leaders and people that we hope can really carry the mail. I would say Hunter DiStefano will be our stalwart in the middle. I really expect him to do great things for us, as well as Chaffee, our setter. The setter is, what they say in volleyball, they call him the quarterback of the team. He's the person that runs the show. He's the eyes and ears of the coach on the floor. He's the trigger man, the person that makes it all go. So as far as Cole can take us, that's where we go.
You mentioned a name, Hunter DiStefano, that some Celtics fans will probably recognize because he's a member of the basketball team. You have a couple of other players from the soccer team as well, including DJ Zadalis, one of our colleagues here on the Carlow Sports Network. Mm-hmm. How have they transitioned to a different sport?
Well, what Hunter and DJ bring to the table are, even though they're amateur athletes, I call it a degree of professionalism. Since they're experienced collegiate athletes, they understand what it takes to compete on this level, regardless of whether it's basketball or soccer or volleyball. Hunter does have a nice volleyball background. He comes from Penn Trafford High School, played for a great high school coach, great program. They won the local Whitfield Championship here a couple of years ago. So he does have a nice, extensive volleyball background. DJ's background in volleyball isn't as extensive, but he's a good athlete and a hard worker, and he's really contributing to this team and growing in his skills and his confidence on a daily basis.
When you were putting together a staff, what were some of the qualities you looked for in assistant coaches?
Well, what I was looking for in a staff is people with an extensive playing experience at a high level, and they definitely both have that. But being a great player doesn't always translate into being a great coach. I've known a lot of great players that are just able to do what they do, but they weren't really able to convey it to other people. And it was actually even frustrating for them because they couldn't understand why people couldn't just do it like they did. So I need people who are very good, not just technically themselves, but understand the technique and they're able to convey it, and also have a good attitude and bring a level of positivity to the table, and very high character people as well. And that really is what I have in Victor and Corey, my assistants.
You received a scholarship for the American Volleyball Coaches Association convention. Now, that didn't happen in person. It was an online seminar. But what did you learn from that experience?
Well, it's a nice experience. It's a good exposure to really all the great volleyball minds in the country, and kind of being able to pick their brains about technique and how to run a program, just every aspect of doing that. I think one of the biggest takeaways for me was it kind of gave me a shot of confidence, because a lot of things that they were teaching are things that I already do. And so that's not to say that I know it all, but it was like great validation to know that the things that I was already doing are kind of widely accepted by really the top minds, and the things that they put out there as being innovative are things that I felt that I thought of myself already. So it was really great validation for knowing that I'm on the right track.
River States does not have a men's volleyball conference yet, not enough teams, hopefully in the future. But with that in mind, what will the Carlow schedule look like this year and even in the coming seasons?
Well, this year, since we don't theoretically have a conference that we're part of, we're playing all out of conference matches. They're all considered independent matches. So we're cobbling together a schedule of other NAI teams, Division III teams, Division II teams. We're taking on all comers, and as of right now, we actually had a couple of home matches on the schedule that some of them were casualties that we've had to either postpone or take off the schedule altogether. And the reason why we're playing so many road matches, it's not really intentional. It's more just kind of organically happened that way due to the availability of the teams that were playing. They had limited, things on, dates on their schedule that they were able to compete due to their own conference matches and limitations to things of that nature. That's just kind of the way it shook out.
What expectations do you have and goals have you set for this season?
Basically what I try to reinforce is process over result. As long as we prepare the right way and work hard and give everything that we have, don't worry about the results. The result will come as long as you prepare the right way, and as long as they buy into that and come in and do what they're asked of every day. I'm confident that that'll happen, and I think the guys are seeing that as well, because I've seen just after 3 weeks of practice, the growth in some of them, all of them really, is really quite encouraging.
And I know that you need to focus on the season upcoming, especially for all these players, but ultimately, starting this program, I'm sure you have some long-term goals and expectations. Where do you want this program to be maybe 5-10 years from now?
Sure. Well, the good thing about the percentage of collegiate volleyball programs for men as opposed to the number of high school and club programs out there is the pool is so large of players on the level below us as opposed to where we're at, that the pool is so vast that there's diamonds everywhere. There's a lot of diamonds in just Western Pennsylvania alone. I mean, so if I can convince even anywhere near the top talent to just stay here in Pittsburgh, we can compete on a national level very quickly. And so my goal is to ultimately not just field a team, but my goal is to really compete for a championship within a couple of years. And so I think that we're shooting for more than just respectability.
Coach, thank you so much for doing this. We're so excited to have the season finally get underway soon.
Thanks for having us. It was great. Thank you.
That is Val Pennington, first-year head coach of the Celtics volleyball team, here on the season preview. And we continue here with the season preview for men's volleyball on the Carlow Sports Network, now joined by sophomore Russ Cyprowski. And Russ, an outside hitter on this team. I'm sure there's a lot of excitement to get the season started. When you finally take the floor for a real match, what's that going to feel like?
It's going to be great. After a almost 2-year hiatus, not playing volleyball, it's going to be a different feeling for sure, especially playing at a higher level.
And to be part of a historic first season, what does that mean to you?
Absolutely. Being actually the first player that signed onto the team, it means a lot because we're going to hold a legacy here at Carlow University.
I'm sure it's been difficult. You said you've been away from the volleyball floor for quite some time, but with COVID complicating matters, how have you tried to hone your skills?
Absolutely. Starting months after when we were supposed to, I believe COVID really messed things up for everybody. Not recruiting new players, and even not practicing when we can because different teams are taking the court. But I believe it might have helped us because the short amount of players gives the coaches an extra little bit of time to help each and every one of us out a little bit more.
What are your best qualities as a player?
I believe the best qualities I can bring to the team are just my experience, having 3 players that haven't played for years and years, almost half a decade. It can really go a long way, having somebody your age help you out on the court, not knowing what you're doing.
Kind of staying on that same topic, how has the chemistry developed with this team that you mentioned is a very small group?
I feel like it's grown very strongly. I believe COVID has actually helped that quite a bit just because of the small number that we can really group together and become good friends on this team.
Did you have familiarity with any of your teammates or any of the coaches before you joined this team?
I actually still don't know anybody at Carlow other than this team. So before I didn't even think twice about signing, not knowing anybody.
Your head coach is Val Pennington, first year here obviously. What are some of his best qualities?
Not just him, but even Coach Victor and Coach Corey, they all have the same idea that there is only 7 of us, so we all get critiqued very heavily. So I believe that those little things that help us just that much more can really help the team.
I know you already alluded to the fact that you were very excited to join this program. What led to that decision to come here to Carlow?
The volleyball team, actually. I've been looking around a couple different places to see where I can transfer to play, but they're all too far away. So to have a team within Pittsburgh itself, a men's volleyball team that's within driving distance and not having to live there and spend that extra money, that was the decision maker for me.
And it seems like men's volleyball will continue to grow in this area. Do you think this could be the start of a lot of colleges developing teams in the years to come?
I really hope so, because I know Point Park has a women's team, I believe, and if we get more teams in the Pittsburgh area, that could mean more players in the high school region as well.
What team goals have you set for this season, and what individual goals do you have?
I think the team goals is just gelling as a team, understanding each other as one, and really getting the chemistry going on the court and off the court. And for myself, just better myself in any way I can, grow as a person as well as a player.
And finally, what will it take to have a successful first season in your eyes?
Work. I believe that the way we work on the court and how much effort we put in is really going to translate how well we do in the season, because we have a handful of unexperienced players, people who haven't played in years, and a small roster. So we're going to be working out there for sure.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing it. Thank you for doing this. Good luck heading into the season.
Absolutely, thank you.
That is sophomore Russ Cyprowski here on the Celtics season preview. We roll along here on the season preview for men's volleyball. I'm Sean Meyers of the Carlow Sports Network, now joined by sophomore Cole Chaffee, who comes by way of Colorado. You enjoying your time so far here in Pittsburgh?
I like it a lot, yeah.
Let's talk about this volleyball season. It's a historic one. What's it like to be part of this team in its inaugural campaign?
You know, I think it's pretty cool. It's something different for sure, coming from programs that have been around for a long time. It's a little different, but it's a lot of fun. You know, you get to make what we want out of it. You know, make it what we want.
I'm sure you're going to have fun out on the court, but you're also going to have a pretty significant role, it seems, on this team. What do you anticipate in that regard?
I think my role is going to be more as, I guess, a leader. You know, try and get everybody together, keep everybody's spirits high, because it's going to be kind of a tough year. But as long as we're having a good time and playing as a team, it should be a good year.
You mentioned that you think you can be a bit of a leader for this team. What do you think some of your best attributes are?
I'm pretty positive on the court. That's always kind of been my favorite part of playing volleyball, is being positive and having fun with your teammates on the court, win or lose. It's just always a fun time.
And especially in a year like this, it feels like you have to bring all that energy because there's not going to be fans or they're going to be in a limited capacity. Do you feel like that's also a key ingredient?
I think so. I think keeping our energy high is going to be really important this year.
So on a personal level, where have you tried to improve your game?
For me, it's really my footwork. I'm a little slow, always trying to get faster, have a little better footwork, and I think that'll do a lot for me.
You're meeting an entire new cast of teammates. I'm sure that there's some challenges doing that during COVID. How have you handled that?
It's definitely tough, but we do what we can. I've known Russ for a while, since last semester, but everyone else, we try to talk before practice, talk during warm-ups, kind of get to know each other as much as we can in the time that we have.
What expectations do you have for this season, both for the team and for you individually?
For me individually, I just want to really improve my skills going into next year and the year after, hopefully. And as a team, I think it'll be good to really get this program started and set a tone for what this program is going to be in years coming.
Mentioned before you're from Colorado. You were previously at St. Xavier University where you played, but what led to your decision to come to Carlow?
I was just looking for a change of scenery, looking for a good biology program, and I was originally from the East Coast when I was really little, so it feels good to be back.
And I'm sure you're kind of familiar with cold winters growing up in Colorado, but what do you like best about Pittsburgh so far?
I like how it's a big city, but it doesn't feel like a big city. It's a major city in the U.S., but it still feels like kind of a small town. And I know everybody says that, but it's true, I think.
Well, Cole, welcome to Pittsburgh, and we are looking forward to seeing you on the floor this season with the Celtics.
Thank you.
That's Cole Chaffee, a sophomore for the Celtics here on the season preview.